Yes, people, hope you're all well. So, tonight I've got a gig at Comedy Cabin, which is a nice little room in Hoxton. Got a 10-minute set, which is a good opportunity for me to try out some stuff and also try saying some old stuff but in a different way. I drive a Toyota Prius and I've had this car for about 5 years, and genuinely, this car has taken me some places and it really has put in a shift. Um, but there is a consistent squeak coming from the rear right side, so the rear driver side tire, and I so need to take this car to get checked out. But going to the mechanic for me, it's like going to the barber. I really don't enjoy it. I don't, At least the difference is with the barber, I know what they're doing and I know what I want. But when you go to the mechanic, it's a totally different story. They can tell me anything, man, and I'll just believe them. Which reminds me, I was thinking of a joke earlier, and there was an analogy. What was that analogy? Geez, it's gone. But there's a couple of things that happened today, or there's one thing in particular that happened today that kind of made me think of a joke, a premise for a joke, and I'm gonna see if I can figure it out tonight when I'm on stage. But the premise is basically, I was walking past somebody and I heard or overheard their conversation. And sometimes when you walk past someone and you just catch a snippet of their chat, and she said, "Oh no, don't let him change you." And I thought about that, and I thought, like, when people say don't let someone change you, they mean well, right? And of course, if that person is trying to, change certain moral elements of you or certain things that are actually positives about you, then yeah, like, don't let them change you. But if every time you're in a relationship, for example, and the other person starts to suggest getting more serious and maybe taking the next step, if you take that opportunity to then cheat on that person, then yeah, maybe you should allow that person to change you. Maybe you're not actually that great of a person as it is. Like, maybe you're a piece of shit, and it would actually be helpful if someone changed you or changed a little bit about you. Because this idea that, like, oh no, don't let someone change you. I mean, like, how arrogant are we as individuals that we think, oh no, like, I'm perfect. You're perfect just the way you are. Like, no, you're not. Sorry. Like, I don't know, unless you're Jesus or an angel or some sort of robotic being, or I don't know, but you're not perfect the way you are. Like, we can all be better and do better. So that whole idea of, like, don't let someone change you, you're perfect the way you are, that's something that I want to explore on stage tonight. And I need to think of a couple of examples that I can kind of rant about and rant off of, and also bring it back to myself. Like, instead of the audience feel like I'm attacking them, I want to make it so that the whole idea feels like I'm actually shining a light on human beings, but also on myself. Just acknowledging the fact that I'm not perfect either. Like, I'm also a piece of shit at times. So allowing someone to come into my life and change me could be a good thing. So anyway, I'm sure that when I walked past this lady and she said that to whichever friend she was talking to, she meant well, and maybe the dude is trying to change her in a negative way. But hey, sometimes we can allow people to change us in a positive way. So that's one bit that I wanted to explore. And the other bit that I started thinking of was thoughts that go through my head when having sex, or like the different stages of my existence as a sexually active man, and the random thoughts that have gone through my head at those different stages. Like, for example, when I first started having sex, the only thought that would be going through my head is, oh, I'm having sex. Like, this is actually happening. And then once you've become quite seasoned and you've like had sex for a couple of years, then the thoughts change. You might actually be able to multitask. It's like driving. It's like when you first start driving, all you can think about is the fact that you're driving. You're in your mirrors, you're looking everywhere, and then after a while, you don't even realize you're driving anymore. You start multitasking. You start playing with the radio cassette, changing the temperature, looking around, taking in scenery. Maybe that's actually a decent analogy for maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the analogy, or that's at least an analogy I can start with. That's a place to start. So those are two little ideas that I had and that I'm going to explore tonight, along with some other stuff that I've written that still needs bedding in, that still needs a bit of work. And the other thing is like having the confidence to just do it. Because what happens is sometimes I'll go to a gig and I'll have the idea that, yeah, I'm going to riff on stage about this stuff, or I'm going to try out this material. And what can often happen is you get on stage and then you just revert to the stuff that you know works, or the stuff you feel more comfortable with, which feels like a bit of a wasted effort in terms of the whole exercise of doing comedy. Like if you're doing a paid gig, yeah, understandably you want to go and do the stuff that you know bangs. But when it's an unpaid gig and it's like a day where you can work some material, it's more beneficial to say something you've never said before. And I need to get into the habit of being confident enough to do that more regularly. And often what can happen also is if an act goes on before you and they smash it, then you feel like, oh, I have to do some stuff that's decent, to show a good account of myself. You don't want the enjoyment meter of the audience to go from absolutely enjoying themselves to then, oh, this is shit. So it's a fine balance. But I think one of the things that some comedians have said to me, and I really do believe this is probably true, is the moment you give less of a I might have to edit that. But the moment you give less of a shit, the moment you just care less, it's the better. It's the better you become on stage. It's the better your material gets. It's the more loose you feel. It's the freer you feel. So yeah, I just need to find a way to care less. I know that sounds counterproductive or counterintuitive, but I think there is something in that. I think once you can relax and care less, you can take off, man, and really have fun up there. Real fun. Really explore premises that maybe are a little bit more daring. Show views and opinions that maybe are a little bit less palatable. And be more honest in my stand-up about the things I think and who I am as a person. I didn't do any recording yesterday following my gig at Clapham Comedy, but it was just a busy night. There was so much happening. I had to manage the whole evening, so as well as MC it. So yeah, I didn't really have much time to do much vlogging or recording of stuff. However, it was a really good night. The acts that performed it was so fun to watch. Some really interesting comedy, some really interesting premises. And one of the things that stood out to me so much about yesterday was persona. Some people's persona was just so perfectly aligned with their material. And that really stood out to me. There was a particular comedian, his name is, well, there's a couple of them, to be fair. I mean, to be fair, all of them that performed were just smashed it. But Eli Hart, really embarrassing, actually. I pronounced his name wrong when he was coming to the stage. I announced him as Eli Roth. But Eli Hart was really good, and also was that kind of comedian where it felt like his material and his persona like just mesh so well. And Andy Watts has always been like another comedian where it feels like their persona and their material mesh so well. But no, genuinely, everyone smashed it, man. They were really good, and I really enjoyed them. Really enjoyed just being a spectator as well as an MC. I didn't even MC too much. I just kept the acts coming on because we were pushed for time. I had more acts than I should have had, to be honest. But we got it all done within the time frame, so it was all good. But I've learned a lesson. I won't be having 10 acts again. Way too many. But yeah, it was a good night though. So just a second ago, I saw a mixed race couple. Right, it was a black guy with a white girl. If I was to say to you, describe the white girl, I bet 8 to 9 out of 10 of you would come back with a similar description. Because from you see a mixed race couple, you just know there's certain assets that lady's gonna be carrying if she's with a black dude. Like, it's just 8 out of 10 times. That's just the way it is, man. So whatever image you got in your head, at least 8 of you are right. The other 2 of you, I don't know what the hell you're thinking. These Lime bikes, I swear, these people be taking chances, man. Jesus. I actually had one of the Deliveroo drivers one time. They hit my wing mirror with the cube that's on their back. Proper knocked my wing mirror off, and I didn't have the heart to be like, give me your details, I'm gonna chase you down to fix this. I was just like, just go, man. So you see my wing mirror now, this thing's got like black duct tape on it. If you actually saw my car right now, you'd think I'm doing pretty badly. And I'm not doing great, but let's just say I'm doing slightly better than my car would suggest. But this car has taken a battering over the years. The whole side panel, someone crashed into that. I wasn't in the car at the time. Just came down, found a big dent in my car. Jeez, man. My poor car, man. She's had some experiences. Anyway, I'm about 5 minutes away. I messaged earlier asking for a running order. I must say, it's one of the things that, I value time. I do believe time is important. So if I'm booked for a gig, I like to know exactly when I'm on, because I'm quite a punctual person. I'm not a person to mess around. So the check-in time for this gig is 7:45. I'm going to pull up at about 7:45. But I could be opening, I could be middling, I could be closing. I don't know. And that frustrates me. But anyway, it's all part of the... No, it's not all part of the game, actually. It's just frustrating. I have this tendency to just be like, oh, it's all part of the game. Oh, it's all what it is. It's like, nah, it doesn't have to be. Like, when I run my night, I tell people when they're on and what time to arrive for, if you're in the first section or the second section. I believe that's very helpful for people. Helps them to plan their day, plan their evening. Nothing wrong with a little bit of helpfulness. But I'm nearly there. So let's get this show on the road. Okay, just popped in. I'm on second in the first half. So that's perfect for me. So I'm gonna just chill in my car, edit a few videos, and then pop back in maybe in about 20-30 minutes. I'll probably be on stage. So that's perfect. And then after that, I can head home and get an early night because I am knackered. So all's well that ends well.
Hello! Hey, what's going on?
Thank you very much. That applause stopped so abruptly. Jeez. I feel like you lot saw me and were like, nah, we ain't clapping for that. Nah. Yeah, and that one laugh suggests that's exactly what you were thinking. All right, there we go. I'm actually going through a bit of a transitional phase in my life right now, and that's why I'm checking my period clock. No, I'm going through a transitional phase in my life, and that made no sense at all. I just had to start my timer, and I was like, can I say something funny that will justify me looking at my watch? And that's what I came up with. Clearly, I don't have a period. You know, I mean, what am I even talking about? I don't even know what periods are. I was thinking about this recently, actually. Thoughts that go through my head when having sex at different stages of my life. When you're having sex, everyone's always thinking something. Yeah, you probably don't want to know what the other person's thinking, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. But I was thinking, like, when I was a young man and I first started having sex, the thoughts that would go through my head are just, oh, I'm having sex, you know? Like, I was just so happy and grateful, right? I'm thinking about, like, the fact that I'm doing the thing that I wanted to do for so long, right? And maybe as I like grew a bit older, like you then start realizing that your thoughts, they just wander, you know, and like you think about so many different things, you know, you'll think about your life goals, you know, you think about whether or not you should have washed the dishes before you left the house, you know, like all of these things will go through you. You know, it's like when you first learn how to drive a car. You know, when you first learn how to drive a car, all you think about is what you're doing, yeah? Like you looking in the mirrors, you know, you think about changing gear. And then after a while, it's like automation. And then you can do other things, you know? You play around with the climate, you know, whatever part of the woman you want to class that as, you know? You play with the cassette, you know? You look around, take in the scenery. Like, I think it's just the same thing. I found my audience tonight, and it's her. Okay, so I was walking down the street today, and I walked past someone, and I overheard their conversation. And you know when you walk past someone and you just hear a snippet? And immediately you're kind of invested. Like you want to know what was the whole conversation about, all right? Like I walked past this lady and all I heard her say was, don't let him change you. And I thought to myself, is her friend a baby? That wasn't the thought. That just popped into my head right now because I thought change you, change baby, right? But what really popped into my head was, why not? Right? Like, how arrogant must a person be to think that they're perfect? Yeah? Like, we can all change in some way, shape, or form. Like, you can't tell me that her friend can't change a little bit. Like, don't get me wrong. If someone's trying to change, like, the best parts of you, that person, okay? Like, that's wrong, right? But, you know, if, for example, you've got a coke habit, right? Let them change you a little bit, you know? If, say, for example, you're the kind of person where you get into a relationship, it's going well, and as soon as commitment starts to happen, you think to yourself, let me sabotage this and cheat, let them change you, you know? You know, if you are the kind of person who genuinely can't stop drinking because you have had so much trauma in your life, let that person change you. And 2 out of those 3 things relate to me, and I'll leave them with you to guess which ones. You lot have been fun, man. Thank you so much. Popped to Sainsbury's post-gig, bought some groceries, £17 spent, but I can make 8 meals with this amount of groceries. Great return on investment. All right, just finished up at Comedy Cabin. Got my groceries. So, I got to be up early tomorrow. Well, not that early, really. But I've got a hosting gig tomorrow afternoon around 1:30, and then I've got a spot at Big Belly Comedy in the evening, so it's gonna be a bit of a long day. So I'm either gonna go home now and food prep, or I'm just gonna go home and edit and then go to bed. So I'll decide based on how I feel when I get in. But last night I was a bad boy. After my gig, I had the taste for a little bit of red wine. So I went home and I had a few glasses, and it was so unnecessary because I had to be up so early to go and see a friend. So I'm gonna try and rectify that tonight and just get a nice relaxing evening. Maybe do some food prep or just edit, get this out on YouTube. So we'll see. But either way, good night. Was able to run a bit of new material, a few ideas. And that's how it all starts, really. Just like you have an idea, you have a thought of a premise, Then you get on stage and you say it, and you see whether or not there's any laughter. And if there is, then you go back to the drawing board, write some more, and keep building on it. That is how you make comedy. But I'm going to get home now, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bless.